So let's get it started. First of all, I need you to like, I need you to subscribe, okay? I need you to go ahead and set those notifications, and I need you to share, pass it on. Now, all that being stated, pardon me, we'll make clear that that's kind of, we took this approach of coming out and I'm going to tell you what I need. Is because that's what we tend to forget. Part of what has gotten any of us is here is that we have forgotten to be forthright, open, honest. I can go on with several other verbs that would describe what we didn't do or what we did do to get us here. What I will say is this. What happened to me, to a large degree, is first and foremost, I have to accept it was I'm accountable for why I got here, that I did not respond as I used to. I gave up the fight. What I've had to recently be reminded is, and we've kind of spoke about it along the way, but I've really been listening to people who grow their own businesses and watching other people online who have become successful and started their own brands. And what you and I have to remember is this. That first of all, yes, you are the brand. You are what you are selling. But secondly, don't let anybody tell you, define for you who you are or what you deserve. One of the stands I am making very strongly right now, it has been painful for me, and I'm sure to some extent painful to them. At least maybe they have anger towards me. You know what? At a point where I am, I don't care that much about whether they're angry with me or not, because I'm kind of frustrated and angry with them. But I have been very clear, in particular, that from here forward in my life, I am going to dictate the terms of my relationships and define what those relationships are going to be. I know you think, oh, that has to be two people. Well, it does to an extent. My point is I have relationships that are positions that are open. That's the way I see it. Just like applying for a job. You are applying for this position, and I will give you the benefit of the doubt. You can do an internship for the position, but if it seems that you do not understand that the position is not going to change based on what you want or need, but rather that you are applying to be a part of my life, you understand? Then no, it's not going to work. So you can think, well, that's both, you're involved in each other's life. Agreed. So what you got to find is someone. Once you made up your mind what you need in your life, you got to find somebody to fill that position. In other words, that they need the counter to the position they're filling in yours. They need that equal there, you know. It may not be exact because, you know, obviously if I have this very set standard, there's a good chance they're going to have to be able to compromise and fit in that, but maybe that's what they need. So they're the counter, maybe. Okay, that's not opposing. Okay, the yin and the yang. There you go. You see what I'm saying? There needed to be different in that aspect. So the one position, for example, right now, that apparently is going to stay open for a while, because the last three avenues that I've looked into, cared for them all deeply. But I'm going to tell you right now, there are no positions, anybody out there, that is female in my life for a friend, period. I'm not, no. Those positions are all filled. I can tell you who holds every one of those. Those are filled, okay? Well, I can be illicit. Nope, that's taken too. I'm not going to knock Brigitte out of that spot, right, Brigitte? That's my ride and die as far as my little sister goes right there. She's not biologically mine. I lost my biological years ago. Brigitte and I are in a lot of ways different than night and day as far as our views on a lot of things, but we love all the same things as far as our interests, and we just love each other. And that is my little sister. That's my ride and die. As far as my little sister go, no, nobody else. So no, there's not positions open for my sisters. My other one is my my biological sister, Alyssa. Nope, no more positions for sisters. Sorry, Alyssa and I've been through too much together. In a lot of ways, we've been forced to be ride and die. But because of what we've been through together, I'm not going to disrespect her. Nope. Nope. So that's it. And as far as the rest of my friends go, I'm gone through that. You know, I have those all filled out. I got former loves that fill the positions of the friends that love you and care about you enough that, you know, there's something more than friendship there. Nope, those are filled. Those are filled. There are no more of those open. I'll tell you when a friendship position will come open. Okay, for me, when it comes to females, is once I have the one, my ride and die for real, my mate. Then I might consider having other friends. But for right now, no. See how I'm drawing that line? You're thinking, oh, you're going on this rant. No, I'm trying to set an example for you. That's what you have to do. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have room for male acquaintances, really, to be honest. I need a ride and die in that standpoint. I need a true best friend. All my acquaintances I have, all my family members that are not biological, because, well, that's a whole other story, but most of my biologicals and I don't have issues with each other per se. They just, you know, my cousins and such, that's just not who we are. Never have been. Kind of like that on both sides of the family. So I have extended family that has been created. And even that are brother-like, cousin-like, those are filled, man. I don't need those. I don't need acquaintances. I know plenty of people, man. I can list off and I can call even to this day if I wanted to. Or if they wanted to call me. We got each other's numbers. That's acquaintance. I call every, 2-3 years? Okay, those are acquaintances. I got plenty of those. You ain't gonna come in my life right now unless you come in to commit, period. Where you're male, female, and understand what your position is and that you're applying for a position and that you're gonna have to fit into that mold. And that's the only thing that's being offered. Otherwise, quit wasting my time and yours. Somebody's gonna have to get to stepping. And since it's more difficult for me to do that physically right now, it's gonna have to be you. But don't kid yourself. That has become a driving force for me of late. I spoke yesterday and I said something about anger. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That's a driving force for me right now. And a lot of it has to do with this. Because people are trying to define to me how they're gonna love me and all this after they say certain things, or how they're gonna be my friend. No. I'm defining that. Okay? You won't be part of my life. I'm defining what that's going to be. Well, again, you can argue, well, then fine. They don't have to be that person. I understand that usually both people have a saying that. But what ended up happening, if we're honest with each other, and this is what happened to a lot of us, is that there is always a dominant party between the two. And chances are, if you are here on this channel, watching now, you weren't that dominant party. Just saying. And I can go online and you can start talking about, oh, you're super morbidly obese. Hey, ain't got nothing to do with it, man. I see pretty people, physically fit people online right now, since I've started this journey here, that are just as mopey, worse off in some ways than I am. There's one little gal, all she does is cry. I'm not hating on her, I'm just saying that's all she does. She's fairly decent looking. I mean, there's prettier girls, but she's cute and she got a nice kind of build and such, and all she do is cry. How alone she is. And I'm thinking, that burn, and she's mobile, and she's young. And I know that because I watch her get up and down off the ground. And all I'm saying is, look, As much as I may have a bit of emotions here, what I'm trying to tell you is that I know I'm not that. Now that's not judging, but that lets me know I'm a little bit further down the road. And I don't know where you are in your journey, but my point is you can get further down the road. I got a long way to go. I got people I already told you try to cut me off, get me hyped up by saying, oh, hey, don't call me until you do this, this, and this. Okay. I appreciate those people because they've always tried to motivate me that way. I want them to understand that they're watching. The anger I have right now is not because of you. That didn't. It worked when I was young, and you were right. I got your point. But I had to find a motivation for me. My motivation is now anger, but not towards you because you try to push me and pump me up like, I'll show you. No, I'm not in that stage. I'm angry now because I'm like, look, I am going to move forward because there are people that are depriving themselves and me of what could be good relationships that could be beneficial to us both. And all I'm saying is they wouldn't invest as much time as they had or have to try to figure that out before I finally said nope, enough's enough. Maybe on some way they were drawing that line because they weren't able to commit to it. I get that. So did I draw the line? Yeah, I actually did well before that because that's where why the line of commitment started falling apart for them is because I defined it and I never backed off it. And I was like, nope, friend, nope, friend, nope. I love you. Don't say it unless you mean it. You understand? I drew that line so hard in the sand. It was like you were at Alamo. You knew which side of that line you were on. And it was apparent and nobody could deny it. And I don't know what was the only one that stayed on the other side. You get my point? The line has been drawn. And even if they sitting over there saying another thing, I'm saying, nope. Come on then. Come on. And they finally don't. They kind of like try to, whatever. They kind of like they slowly linger off. Thinking they'll silence. They get silent or something. Like they're going to shut me out. You ain't shutting me out. You're shutting yourself out. So you got to get to we have to get to that point. You have to get to that point. I have to get to that point. We have to get to that point that, again, like I said before, we're not settling for a life that we do not deserve. What makes everybody else out there more deserving than you? Is there anything that really makes them more deserving than me? Because, they're fit and they take care of themselves, this and that. Okay, yeah, people can have a lot of appearances that are not fit mentally, physically, otherwise. I know people that look on the surface, they got their mobility in a way I don't. They look better than me physically as far as their appearance and are more emotionally broke than I am, more mentally broke than I am, just as financially broke as I am. And truth be known, because of things they're doing to their body, even mine doesn't look as good as theirs. My health is better than theirs. See, a lot of times in life, we're being assessed and judged by others based on norms. And I'm not saying norms aren't necessary to an extent. But if you don't fit totally in that norm, don't let that norm define you. I started thinking about that today, and I understand that some people, that's because they have talent. I get it, but you have talents too. Maybe you just not. I don't have talent. I have a lot of talent. People have stated it before in my life that I don't tap into the way I should. I don't put a full effort into it. So if that's your problem, you have the problem I have. That's on you, just like it's on me. But I'm going to give you an example. Somebody doesn't look like the norms, who hasn't taken the traditional path to success. Somebody like Jelly Roll. You know what I'm saying? Yes, got a talent. But what he lived through and how he appears, and hey, kudos to you, Jelly Roll, dropping that 100+ pounds, man. Good job. We're trying to join that group with you, man. And I've already dropped weight. People don't realize that. Since I started this process, man, I actually rolled out to my top peak in my life and broke a barrier and never thought I would, and have dropped weight since then. So my point is, don't let anybody set the standards of what you can achieve and who you're going to be except for you. And that's why I kept listening to these people who are successful over and over again. And I'm going to tell you a prime example, number one example in my life that I personally knew was my dad. My dad was a very peculiar personality, a very strong personality. He was the type that never... I look at these images in the world today, and some people try to assess certain people and perceive certain things about them. But they have, even if their personality varies in how they portray certain aspects. But let me tell you something about people that are successful. And you can think about people in the public eye right now that feel these. My dad wasn't one to apologize. I'm not saying he needed to apologize a lot. He really didn't. But if he did, don't sit around waiting for that. My dad was strong-willed to the point that I remember, speaking of my extended family, my younger brother, based on his age originally, all call me a cheater. I'm my older brother. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is my daddy's favorite son I'm talking about now. So funny thinking about this. We're on the way to his funeral, and he goes, "You can't tell people set the expectation for people." I said, "Of course you can." We get in there after we had this discussion, and this was not too far. We were not too far out from the funeral when we were having this. And one of the gentlemen that came up and spoke at the funeral stood up and said, and said, "My dad," he said, "Steve would set expectations for you, the expectations he had for you, and you were expected to reach them. He expected you to reach them." You see where I'm going with this? My dad he had expectations for himself. He set expectations for other people. He always believed he could. He was I've never known anybody more confident in their abilities. Okay? He didn't apologize. You understand what I'm saying? And because he was so exact in every one of his movements, there really wasn't not a need for him to apologize. Don't get me wrong, he was human, he had his moments, but there wasn't a whole lot of them that really needed to be apologized for. And part of the reason I think that he didn't apologize, because people that are strong and successful, they don't show weakness. I don't think there's anything wrong with kindness. Because I also heard accounts at my dad's celebration of life. Most people call it a memorial service or a wake. We had to have the term exact to appease certain people. But his celebration of life, people told accounts of where he was compassionate towards them. I'm not saying you're not compassionate. And the other people I'm thinking about right now, that some people judge and assess that have all those traits that successful people have, are perceived by some as not being compassionate. Yeah, I constantly hear stories of compassion that just aren't put out there about those individuals because negative pictures are trying to be painted on them. So why am I talking about this? Again, not trying to carry on about my father, but rather an example that he set for all of us, that I used to live by to some extent. I need you to understand something. I had a friend one time In fact, a few years back when it all started, all this nonsense, when I was sliding downhill, and it slowed it some, but it's just now turning back around. It reminded me that in my youth, he said, I knew a guy that when he was young, if you told him somebody was talking negative about him, he goes, well, I care if they're saying something negative about me. Whether it's negative or positive, at least they're talking about me. What does that mean? He understood back then what at one time she was a master of. She went too far with it now to the point that it has become detrimental to her. But do you remember there was a time when Madonna couldn't seem to do anything, even things that are absurd and vulgar or whatever, compared to the things that come before her? People did not like a lot of, made a lot of us very uncomfortable. But at the same time, wow, she seemed to just rise above it, and it seemed to make her excel even more. There is that old cliche. There's no such thing as bad press. My point was, back then, my brand was still being promoted. I had a friend of mine that told me actually that I was one of the world's first influencers. We just weren't using the internet back then. But I started thinking about what he was stating. I started on my college campus, my final one. The first one I went on, I wasn't really that known until I started hanging out with a clique I had. It was back when everybody had cliques. And then when I went to the next one, I started to develop personality. Not necessarily want it, because, I was known for my bad behavior, more or less. I wouldn't let people bully me around, fight and drink, okay? By the time I got to my third school, and actually that would have been my fourth, because I did a couple of semesters at a little junior college, not even on the main campus, at a satellite campus, when I took a year out of school. By the time I got to the fourth and final school, I went from being the fat guy that went in at lunchtime and did impersonations, and people would come in and watch me do them. Like, because I would stand up right in the middle of the room and just start doing impersonations, stand up on the table, whatever. Very much about, you're saying that's attention seeking. Of course it was. But it was also about promoting a brand. By the time that I left there were people on that campus that knew my name and I didn't know who they were. And I'm not just talking about one. I'm talking about professors, students that were not in my group. Well, you think, oh, that must have been a really small school. Well, no, it was never super small. It was a good sized Division II, to the point that as of 2019, it's a Division I AA. So is it UT? No. Is it, like A&M? No. Oh, I forgot, for those of y'all in Tennessee, University of Texas, okay? No, it's not UT, no, it's not A&M. But it's a decent sized school. And I'm not saying this to be braggadocious. What I'm trying to tell you is I used to know how to promote my brand. Because I used to be confident in my brand. Back to that same thought and process that at least they're talking about me. I lived in all sorts of people's headspace rent-free. Now, would I rather do that in a positive fashion nowadays? Yes. But let me explain something to you. If I let what people think about me, I'm never going to move forward. I have to know the truth about me. Because a lot of people are going to judge me and assess me right now by my overall appearance. The fact that I'm super morbidly obese, okay? That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Okay? Nothing for nothing will get you nothing. You gotta have something. If you're gonna run with Thurman, oh, there's the name. Well, I'm not re-recording this, so finally dropped it. All right, well, here's the point. That's the brand. You have to define your brand. You have to go into the room knowing that you're worthwhile and that people should want to invest in you. And you walk out, and if they don't, then that's where, I know this sounds arrogant. I'm telling you, every one of those people knew what they were worth that are successful. And they didn't walk out of that room feeling like that person had made a mistake because they were, they didn't walk out. That wasn't arrogance, let's put it that way. That was a choice that the other group was making that was not going to end up proving to work out to their favor. Because if you don't see that I have what it is that you need and that you are looking for, that's fine. I feel sorry for you because I'm going to go down the road and I'm going to offer those services to the next guy. And when they do see that, well, you end up being like this friend of mine from high school. He very much knows how to promote a brand to the point that he is known by the brand he has created. You can say his name and they'll know it. But if you say Texas Tool Man, then the person spits out the name. The Texas Tool Man, that's his brand. Okay? The Texas Tool Man is so well known in his area, in his sales, okay, the market he is in, that when you say that name, that means something. That means success. To some people, they're intimidated by it. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is listen to him and even the success he's had in life. That's the thing. He went into a job one time. He thanked them for the interview. He goes, okay, when did I start? And they're kind of like, He goes, well, look, did you think of me one? Yeah. So did I. So when do I start? That man right then and there made them hire him, basically. And he started on Monday the next week. You have that in you too. I know I have it in me. I have just lost sight of it. For whatever reason, I started allowing other people to tell me who I am. I think part of it was because there was a perception I didn't like of me. That was seen somewhat obnoxious, arrogant, whatever, a bully, whatever. I was never really those things. Yes, I'm always been a little bit arrogant. Sure, I can blow myself into a situation. But a lot of it was because it was a perception of someone else, and we've become a very soft society that is very judgmental and wants to cancel everybody. And I got kicked enough and got to a point where I hit spots where that I wasn't working at chemistry that I used to have enough, that I wasn't getting the promotions and such that I had earned. And so I started feeling like I was kicked and down and out and could never seem to move forward and upward. That eventually I landed here. Well, there is not anyone else going to pull me out of this. Nor is there anyone going to pull you out from where you are. They can give you a hand up. They can help you do some of the pulling. But if you are not going to do the vast majority of it, you are not climbing up out of this hole we have put ourselves in. Have you ever tried to lift someone a dead weight? I'm not talking about they weigh, 400 or 500 pounds. I'm talking about when my mother, towards the end of her life, was smaller than she had been in years. Okay, she got down under 100 pounds. She was like 90-something, 70-something pounds when she died. Sad way how much her body deteriorated. But when she was probably about 130, 120, that's not a big person for My mom was like 5'7" most of the time. But when she decided she's going to become dead weight, you could not move her. Especially since you had to be careful with how you handle my mom, because it could hurt her. Bones and such could get broken. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're not going to do the vast majority of the pulling, it don't matter how many hands are reaching down to help pull you up. You've got to help. You can't be dead weight and hope they just drag you up out of that bitch. You better have your feet on the side of that wall, pulling up one foot over another as they're pulling you up. And if you got only one person up there pointing you by one hand, you better be working that other hand, trying to find that next spot to grab. And the first way you start that is you start defining who you are. You don't accept anything less of your relationships, your friendships, your business, the job you take. I've made up my mind there's only certain jobs I'm going to take. That ain't a matter of pride anymore. It's a matter of where I am in life and what I have done and the experiences I have done. I know what that value is. And if other people I know can go in and do that same for themselves. And I'll tell you, I ain't trying to say I'm one better, but I'm just saying I have as many talents and just as much to offer as they do. That if they can do that, I'm going to do that too. I am setting the standard of my life from here forward, not everyone else. Now, if you want to be a part of that, come on, because there are positions that are open. But do understand that you are applying for a job. You will have a trial or internship period, and if that don't work out, hopefully no hard feelings on your end, because I'm at a point, I may be hurt, I may have a little hard feelings, but I'm at a point I'm also realizing I got to let go of those, because I'm hanging on those. I'm not making room for the next candidate, because I'm still hanging on to what I'm feeling and thinking about the situation with you. And what does that mean? You taking up rent in my head. That ain't happening no more. We're going to go back to being our brand. What's that brand? It's a brand that is accountable. Accountable to everyone else around us. But in order to do that, first we must be accountable to ourselves. So that brand is Thurman. And that brand is telling you now, I need, and if you are willing to or want to be a part of this brand and involved with it and see the success it is about to produce, then you will not hesitate. You will go ahead and like. You will go ahead and subscribe. You will go ahead and put on them notifications. And you will go ahead and share it so this brand can grow. And we can help not only ourselves, but others as well in the process. All right, this is accountability. We'll catch you next time.